Doesn't end here, no, but it's an important, necessary step, not just important. Now, G2 Hell are on blue side, BDS Valkyries are on red side. What will the bans be focused on, Regulus? What do you think it's important? Ziggs being banned from G2 Hell. What are the possibilities? Are we going to have the same?
I think we're going to see a run back for the most part. It wouldn't surprise me if we see like Gnar Ornn taken away from the Valkyries. We see Gnar come through, the Syndra banned out for Shah. I wouldn't be surprised. I definitely don't think we're going to see Caitlyn banned again. I'd be very surprised if we did. I wasn't so sure on the ban last time. The Aatrox does come through there, which is really strong, but it is a run back on the Caitlyn, which I'm not sure about on the side of the Valkyries. So it's going to depend on what they actually want to take away from G2 when it comes to actually picking on this R1, R2.
Okay, we have that Ornn being hovered. No, we have that Ornn first pick, which was a pick that really worked well for G2 on the last match, and the Renekton being answered here, or at least hovered. Sorry. Oh no, it has been picked. And the Maokai is being hovered. A Maokai that is a really important pick for BDS.
It's a massive one. This is the jungler that allows for so much terrain control and just in general control around the objectives. And that's something that BDS Valkyries were really suffering from the lack of. In the previous 2 games, they couldn't really secure the dragons and quite some heralds and barons because they couldn't really get into the pit and do anything about the enemy. So this Maokai pick is going to be big for the Valkyries.
Really big to that vision control, to that neutral objective control. Now, we saw Disrael, Lissandra, and Ahri on the other side. BDS this time around banned Braum and Nico, while G2 Hell banned Cassio? I think, am I saying correctly?
Yeah.
And Zera. Last pick face, Regulus. What are we expecting?
Okay, so the Zai gets locked in here from Stratus Panda, so we could see something like Zyra Khan come out, but realistically I'd want to see maybe a bit more engaged, a bit more heavy engaged for Eveluna here. The Sivir does come out, and is that Emilio coming for Colombo, which is really, really nice. You know, you do have some really strong lockdown potential on the side of BDS, and when it comes to the dive, it's between the Ahri and the Renekton. That Milio is going to be absolutely massive for keeping that Croc at bay.
Oh, we are seeing a Sona. We have our draft completed. Okay, Solari, we have a lot to go through about these last picks. We have a lot to think about the ideas of both compositions, about the identity of both compositions. Now, let's talk about the adaptation both teams made, starting with G2 Hell.
Not too many adaptations, but quite some and quite interesting ones. I absolutely adore the pickup of Melia for Colombo Bull. It just has recently been buffed, and it is always a very strong pick for the team, especially going into a lot of card control and especially going into a team that wants to be engaging into you. Melia is going to be exceptional at keeping the Sivir alive and at bay at all costs. So I love it from G2. I also quite like the Lissandra, because Lissandra is an interesting champion to me, first of all, because she goes really well into Ahri on the mid lane, but secondly because she is another example of providing control against the enemies, a very strong engage plus control from her. Overall for G2, a lot of engage, a lot of possibilities to disengage should it be needed. Just an overall well-rounded team.
Yeah, absolutely, but as you mentioned before, Solari, Maokai was picked from the side of BDS, and Maokai, if one of the main things that BDS did not so good was that control, vision control, objectives control, and they can do that right now with this kind of composition. Regulus, what else can this composition do? What else should they focus on?
So the Sona pick for me is going to be the big question mark, I think, coming out from the side of BDS. I do think that G2 opting for the Lissandra rather than running it back with the Nico, I'm not too sure about on that side. I think they sack a little bit of damage there. It's going to be down to that Milio to really amp it up. But for BDS, this Maokai is just going to give them so much extra control coming onto those objectives. It's not going to give G2 that sort of same opportunity to really just control the flow of the fight. So it gives BDS the opportunity to kind of pick and choose when they want to fight a little bit more. Gives them the ability to sort of kite it back a little bit, which I guess is something which that Sona aura is going to help with on the speed boost when navigating around these fights.
Taking this into consideration, if you would be the junglers, where would you focus your attention on the early stages of the game? Because I think this is going to be important, not only to get those picks not behind. I don't want to say ahead, I just want to say not behind. And also to control those objectives. Would you play for Herald? Would you play for Drake in the early stages of the game? Sorry.
Well, I could expect you to still go in towards Drakes just because it's something we saw them opting into over and over again. But when it comes to the jungler movement, they're not really lanes that want to be accelerated in the early. Everybody is pretty laid down, is pretty chill in the early game. Everybody can just wait so Sheena can focus on whatever she wants. But on the other side of the map, Renekton again screams to me like a lot of Herald control. Renekton plus Maokai is a very strong duo when it comes to the Herald control. At the same time, they have Sha on Ahri, and Ahri can rotate to either of the objectives that BDS Valkyries choose. I just really hope that in this game, Valkyries are not going to again completely leave the dragons in the domain of G to hell, because that is going to be quite disastrous.
Yes, we have seen this happening on the previous game. Now, taking only the drafts into consideration, Regulus, who do you think has the advantage before even heading into the... Not the advantage, but more tools to play with?
I feel like I am going to gravitate towards the side of G2 Hell on this one. Like, looking at the Sandra, obviously, there I said about, perhaps not having as much potential as what you have with the Nico, but still so important for locking down that Ahri, locking down that Xayah, not allowing the feathers to fly. So it could be a massive pick on the side of G2 here. And again, Cultists on this Sivir, so much scaling. It's going to really come down, I think, how these junglers operate.
Yeah, we shall see what they will do as we will head into the third and last game. Who wins this match, wins this series, and goes to face Big Chroma in the final. So Solari, Regulus, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, One Ring, and we cannot wait again to jump into the Summoners Raid. This is going to be the last time we're seeing both of these teams on our screens, but we are going to have the pleasure of still seeing one of them in the upcoming series of 3 games. Let's see how this one is going to go. The nerves are here. The stakes are as high as ever. Everything goes down to this one last game between G2 Hell and BDS Valkyries.
Oh yes, Solari, I am expecting nothing but blood in this final game. I'm expecting a really heavy one. With that said, I'm not too sure how much of a heavy one it's going to be. I feel like we're going to see a lot more perhaps lane dominance with a bit of luck coming out from this BDS bot lane. The early sort of poke from this Sona working with the Xayah feathers could make things a little bit more awkward for Cultists when it comes to allowing the Sivir to farm up as she pleases.
Yeah, I saw that you didn't like the Sona pick. I will try to defend her a little bit. I'm not a very big Sona enjoyer myself, but I already said that I really wanted to see Avaluna playing some of those enchanters because she used to play quite a lot of those, even though we have already seen how good she is with her hook champions. It is a very nice change of pace, and on top of the perk on the lane that you already mentioned for her, Sona is a hyperscaler. When she goes into the late game, she's going to be what Yumi used to be before the changes came for her, and thank God for those changes, to be honest. But Sona in the late game is going to be a menace. Her healing is going to keep everybody alive, which is super important for BDS because they don't really have too much of the front line available to them.
Absolutely, and I feel, again, just to come back to that sort of speed boost on the aura, I feel it's going to be such an important tool for fighting back, especially when Cultist presses the go button on the side of G2.
You will have one go button versus kind of the same go button on the side of BDS Valkyries. So this is a very good answer to that, actually, because the move speed really allowed G2 Hell to move a lot and be very aggressive onto the enemies in the previous game.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing we haven't really seen a whole lot of Stratus Panda on more classic carries. We did see that one Jin game. We did see the Jin Milio game. We know that she has it in her locker, but coming up against Cultist, who is perhaps one of the most dominant ADCs that we've seen in this tournament, I'm nervous, I think, for Stratos. I hope that she has it in her locker, but at the same time, you know, this could be a game where Cultist really kind of lets rip in the spot lane too.
Quite possibly, to be fair. Quite possibly. But I can't wait to see what Stratus Panda is going to show us with this Xayah, because Xayah is going to be a super important pick, especially with her ultimate, and especially with the fact that she's running with the cleanse. I am a very big cleanse Xayah enjoyer, because quite often she opts to go into Ghost. I don't like Ghost on Xayah. I feel like she needs any extra protection that she possibly can get, because it is really easy to punish her. If you get her tools out of her, if you get the ultimate and the flash out, Xayah cannot do much against you unless she's exceptional at piloting the champion.
For sure. Oh, some nice aggression here coming out from Sui, but she rolls away. I was a little bit tuneful, but it was just singing earlier. It's inspired me. But yeah, Cleanse coming up on Stratus Panda, really unsurprising considering how much pure lockdown we see on the side of G2. It's you see it too often in, like, even in your solo queue games where there's heavy engage and your ADC's gone, no, it's fine, I can just take kill here, and you're like, this is going to work out so badly in about 10 minutes time. But we are among the pros here, so it's good to see that they are building appropriately as we continue through the early phases of this game.
The amount of times I've seen Xayah picking Ghost in pro games into a lot of control on the enemy team. If I got $1 for every time I saw that, I would be quite rich now, I think, which is not a good sign, to be honest. But I hate it for a reason, okay? I've seen too much of Xayah's suffering.
Gosh, and look at the wave that's just been built there in the bot lane. Crashes into the BDS tower, allows for this recall to come in now for G2, which means they're going to be a base ahead. 2 swords now onto the Sivir. The Cole ticking away. Obviously, the Xayah has one too, but it's going to put them into such a good position coming out for this first Drake.
And to be fair, I feel like this is what the bot lane is going to look like up until level 6 is going to hit, because before that, you have a lot of wave clear. You have a lot of tools, both offensive and defensive, into BDS Valkyries on the bot lane. And for BDS, they cannot really pull any aggression onto G2 Hell before this level 6 is going to hit for Sona, or unless they rotate somebody else in the bot lane, because Xayah and Sona both just want to sit back and wait out the laning stage. But BDS are not wasting any time whatsoever. We wanted to see the change around the Drakes, and finally we get it. BDS Valkyries are securing the first Drake of the game.
This is such great presence of mind here from the side of BDS. They see the cheetah come in from the G2 bot lane and go, well, it's either we go now or we go never. So they went, grabbed that Drake. Just really, really good decision making there. And yeah, as you said, just this proactiveness on these early Drakes is exactly what we want to see. The Drakes have been such a big win con for G2 in these past games. So to see BDS come out on top now in this sort of early exchange is really, really good.
The only sad thing is that it's not going to put their bot lane in any advantage still unless they do something drastic right now, but it looks like Shinny is the one who's doing drastic things, taking away the Gromp away from Ender, not allowing Ender to continue to clear in this part of the jungle, and in general, G2 are putting a lot of pressure around the bot part of the map, which is, again, understandable. On the top lane, there is Renekton. You want your own to sit back and wait out pretty much like the enemy's bot lane wants to be doing, so you focus your attention somewhere else. But do we expect any action to break out soon on the Summon Street, or is everybody just going to keep waiting?
It certainly feels like we're just gonna be sat in a bit of a low state right now. Ari, of course, doesn't really want to go anywhere near this Lissandra, especially when there's a Rel potentially nearby. So at the minute, we're just playing the farming game, and this obviously plays to G2's favor ever so slightly, with that Sivir, of course, wanting to scale up. Now 16 CS ahead of this Xayah, and soon to be a little bit more. But alas, on the top side, this is what we kind of spoke about at the start of the series, before the series even began, was that it's going to be a tale of 2 halves of the map. Of course, the Xayah a little bit more fighty than the facilitative we have seen from Stratus Panda before, but nonetheless, we are looking to see on this Renekton if she can do it yet again and create the space and create the pressure that she really needs to.
We have a little bit of jungler action around both the respective lanes because Shin is around the bot lane right now. It's going to be super risky to commit to a tower dive, to be fair, but no level 6 on Zion, no level 6 on Sona. I could see a slight chance where this spawn is going to work for G2. They're rotating Tifa to the bot lane. Level 6 is available for both Sheena and Tifa, so they could potentially now go onto this, and they're going right straight into the action, and poor Stratos Panda is getting caught out immediately. It's the first blood for Tifa. Sheena wants to continue, but most probably is not going to be able to catch okay, she's going to be able to catch Evaluna, but that's about it.
I feel like face checking is not the sort of aim of the game. If you smell a rat, I feel that simply placing a few feathers in that direction could have perhaps told Stratos Panda everything she needed to know before heading in. Perhaps she only felt that the rail was going to be there, so could just burn the cleanse. But alas, they did see that this was missing on the map as well. A little bit of disrespect there from the BDS bot lane, and this is really the last thing that you need right now when you know that Cortis is just going to keep farming away in the bot lane.
At least some answer was available for BDS Valkyries in the meantime, because Ender was around the top lane. I wanted to see maybe some action was going to happen there on the top lane itself, but in the end it was the Herald fight, and the Herald, not the fight rather, but okay, you can say it was a fight because the jungler was fighting with the Herald, right? So it's kind of a almost a fair fight between them. That was won, unsurprisingly, by Ender, who is sitting right now on the Herald nicely in her pockets, going to release it somewhere to make sure someone of her laners gets an additional influx of gold.
Absolutely. With Drake coming up in a minute's time, there is a very good chance that we're going to see this Herald slam down, potentially in this mid lane, to create that pressure, or again, could just drop it bot, just look to try and get a bit of gold back into the pocket of Stratos Panda. It's really interesting here. I mean, we have TPs up on both top laners here, not quite on the mid laners, so it'll be fascinating to see where we do see this Herald drop, and whether or not C is able to really force the issue with this Ornn, force them back to base and force that TP out before this objective.
Very few of the top laners have the TPs right now. We're still before the 12th minute in the game. So, oh no, we're before 10th minute of the game, my apologies. And their teleports are going to be unleashed right now. The Drake's coming up soon, and look at that. Really much more proactiveness around the Dragons coming from BDS Valkyries compared to the previous two games. They are already there at 30. They already have a lot of vision in there, a lot of red wards around the pit that you can see on the minimap right now. Are they going to be able to take this Drake? Because at the same time, G2 are pushing in on this bot lane. Quite a lot of damage going both ways at the same time. Plus, Shini's around sitting in the bush. Hasn't been spotted just yet, I believe. It has the ultimate available to jump into the enemies if she pleases to do so. But she doesn't exactly want to. See? Just scratching the turret. Just scratching the turret. And everybody else who's standing on the way.
Absolutely. Now, we see as this preparation for this second Drake comes through, the prio isn't quite there for either bot lane, but Cortis has been called to bot lane just to shove this really quick. The amount of prio that the Sivir can quickly establish is absolutely massive, but we do have that Herald now on the Maokai. Doesn't get dropped in time, and it just looks like this one's just going to be considered to G2.
Yeah. BDS Valkyries unfortunately lost the window that they had open for them to establish more prior around the pit and to go into it and take the dragon. They're going to lose this one. It's just one dragon that they lose in the early game, so it's a nice change of pace compared again to the previous two games. But C in the meantime is fighting with Lazy on the top lane. C is very low on the health, though. He's going to prop dominance, but the call to forward course is coming in as well, trying to establish some control onto C. But in the end, it does look like it's going to be a stalemate between the top laners. Neither of them is able to complete a kill onto the enemy, but Ender is around trying to help out the top lane a little bit. Even Sha is here. That's a lot of forces who are not really going to find Lazy or anything whatsoever.
Really fantastic timing on the stun from C there. Of course, we've spoken about her Renekton time and time again, but just really denying the second part of the call, the Forge Guard there, allows her to survive that short exchange, that short but very damage-filled exchange with Lizier in the top lane.
Yeah, Sia was quite chipped there in that fight, but in the end, yes, it is coming down to the fact how well everybody is piloting their champions and how many comfort picks are happening for everybody in the draft C, getting back to Renekton. Should feel quite happy there in the top lane, not being able to score any kills, but this year's lead is quite nice. The gold lead around 1,000 gold right now for C is very good as well. The gold ring are already complete, which means the healing is going to be absolutely unholy on that Krog.
Look at Sheena right now, looking for this play, but alas, see, smells a horse. He goes, something smells a bit odd. Suspicious, yes.
Yeah.
And Julie gets out of dodge as we now see lots of pressure towards the mid lane.
Ooh, Tifa going on to try to spawn, but has to turn away immediately because Maokai is not kidding around with that ultimate, immediately turning G2 Hell's attempt away from BDS bot lane.
And that's what we expected to see from this Maokai. Just any opportunity to just clear things out, just to pick and choose the fights that BDS wants to take. But nonetheless, you know, this is a big ultimate down now from the Maokai. So depending on how aggressive we see G2 get as they look for this tower, it could be really, really bad for the side of BDS. But, oh no, Sheena? Or looking down towards that bottom side, Sheena perhaps looking for something onto Shah there, but seems to back out for now.
Can't really find any way to enter the lane. BDS Valkyries are really stepping up in their vision game, making sure their main carries are well protected at all times, except for, well, that unfortunate time on the bot lane when they didn't expect Shun to be in their very deep bush. But right now, BDS Valkyries are still protecting their mid lane turret. The turret plates are gone, so it means we are up to the second Herald of the game, which is going to spawn in less than a minute on the map. Still with the Renekton for BDS Valkyries, it is the Prior there. Renekton is going to reset right now. It doesn't have the TP, but can just walk straight back into the pit and help out Ender.
For sure. Now, let's see where this TP comes in. Looks like G2. Just Tifa coming back into lane. Just, hey guys, I'm back. Miss me?
Making sure that Cultist doesn't take all the farm on the lane, you know, the typical solo queue mid laner. Hey, it's my farm, get away from my lane, go back to the bot lane and everything like that. But of course, much more respectful. But the mid lane is where all the action is happening right now. BDS Valkyries are looking maybe for a way to fight with G2 Hell because the Herald is up and running on the map. Lizzie is already around, but the fight is going to be started by G2 catching Ender a little bit off guard. The Ender does have the teleport, so mind that, but guess who else has the teleport? Here comes Sheena with a Magnus Storm, and Cultist is securing heal onto the enemy jungler. The fight still continues. He is coming and healing a lot, dealing a lot of damage. Columbable is chipped away massively, but G2 are still turning around, going back onto the enemy. She is still healing up. How is that impossible? And she's even getting a kill onto Sheena, but gets slain in the process. Tifa going super aggressive onto Shah, the typical Lissandra. She's Ari. Lissandra knows to press all her buttons immediately. Alas, no kill, but G2 are still looking strong after this fight.
Certainly in the battle of top versus bot here, it is the bot side of G2 that does come out on top. We see Cultist 2 kills now on this Sivir, 2k up on Stratus Panda, and yes, of course, C does get in and does get hers, but it's just, again, we're back to this point that we were kind of at last game where we're kind of on the clock a little bit because Cultist is just getting so much time, not just to free farm, but she's also getting the lion's share of the kills on G2.
Cultist is passively scaling, and what I love in this game is that Cultist decided to go into the Kraken Slayer as the first item, so the damage against the front lane of BDS, even though we talked about there is not much front lane for BDS, but even the one that is available is going to suffer quite a lot from the G2's AD carry, and they might suffer quite soon because the next Drake is going to be on the map. Is it again the Hack Soul that we have? We have another Hack Soul. Oh my goodness, these souls in this series are the absolute best ones that we have in League of Legends, or at least my favorite ones. But C is again the same C, the same approach, the same way to go into the beat and outflank G2 Hell, and the ultimate from Maokai is coming in. The flash from Maokai is coming in right onto the backline of the image, but Cultist is going to be completely safe and completely fine thanks to Milia, thanks to Columbable. C though in the meantime dealing so much damage, slaying Tifa right out of the Summoner's Rift, and BDS Valkyries are still standing one man stronger, one woman rather stronger than G2 Hell. Lizzie is taking a lot of damage. There's front lane out for you, G2 Hell, and that is you out of the Dragon Pit.
Such a lovely Nature's Grasp from Ender coming through there, just catching multiple members, of course. Tifa does Of course, Tifa does manage to freeze herself for a little bit, but alas, as soon as she thaws out, C is there to just chomp away.
No, nobody wants to be fighting with that Croc right now. Columbable a little bit, but unfortunately it's a little bit not enough to stop C from luring everybody from G2 Hell away from the pit. Shy is here as well. Lizzie is still super low on health. Columbable still cannot really do much unless there is going to be damage added to her, and damage is going to be added indeed because Cultist and Tifa both are here, both are around. C is going right into the enemies, but there is going to be unmounted Sheena and a shutdown onto C. A very nice one. Another Nature's Grasp is coming out because the cooldowns on that ultimate are insane, but in the end, who's slain the Herald?
Oh, the Herald takes you the bottle!
No way!
Hey, yo, Shaw! The little drive-by, then thank you very much!
I didn't know it was even possible!
I was going to say, I've never seen that interaction before. Wow, every day is a school day, as they say. And Shah, I think we can say that was a heist right there.
Yes, indeed! And now BDS Valkyries have 2 dragons and the Herald in their hands, in the lovely and loving hands of their mid laner. Very good state of the game for them, to be honest, because they can push in, they can try to open up even more lanes. Right now the mid lane is the only one that is open, and that is the only turret that has fallen throughout this game. But opening up either the top lane or the bot lane is going to allow them much easier access to the upcoming objectives. And speaking of objectives, still 3 minutes on the clock before the next Drake is going to be up. Don't get fooled by the timer. It is still the Hex Soul that we're talking about, a super important one for either of the teams to grab and stack 3 of them on top of each other.
Absolutely. And when we're taking a look at these Drakes right now, BDS of course have 2, potentially looking to add even more to their tally, but what a switch it's been from these first 2 games where G2 was so dominant in how they were setting up these objectives, but now 2 Drakes and that Herald about going over.
Oh no, Tifa is getting away somehow. Lissandra is a very slippery champion. It is really hard to get her even with the Everfrost used by Ari, but the bot lane is fighting at the same time with C just walking away casually.
And this is what we want to see from C, because they are generating so much pressure. They're drawing bodies down to the bot lane here. And you're saying about Lissandra being slippery. This Crocodile is also a very slippery customer here.
Oh, finally the Herald released. Oh, we're going to see the replay little corner there with Ari on the ice maneuvers. Look at that. Yoink! Thank you very much.
Oh my, Prod with the in-picture replay. Oh, we love to see it. Stunning, stunning stuff. Big shout out to Prod for making it happen and making us look so good here on this cast.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. I love it so far here, but I also love seeing what the teams are bringing on the table. Maybe catching Shah off guard, but Shah is running away, sacrificing the ultimate, but it is better than sacrificing your life.
Spirit Rush is indeed sacrificed, and as we look to this next Drake, I mean, obviously the Baron is now active. We'll be very eager to see where the teams put their eggs, especially on this 2 Drake kind of spot for BDS. Feels like they're going to want to try and fight this Nash, because trading only 3rd Drake for the Nash never feels good. Are they at a point where they can really fight him? Cultist, 2 items here. Tifa is decently strong. With that, the Andrews is going to do so much work, but it's all going to come down to, I feel, what kind of picks we can see coming out before a transition into this Nash.
Sheena and Lysia will have to do so much in the upcoming fights, because with the itemization on the G2 side, they don't really have any burst damage, but they have a lot of prolonged damage throughout the team fights, and the team fights are going to be longer. We might just be seeing one right now, because G2 Hell are luring BDS Valkyries into the pit, but Valkyries are not really stepping right into it, still continue their pursuit of the bot lane and of the mid lane at the same time, because the Drake is coming up less than half a minute, and it's going to be up and running
very, very soon. Yeah, I mean, taking a look at the goal in the minute, BDS do have that slight lead. Of course, we speak about how we're sort of on the timer a bit with this Sivir, but it's really nice to see that there are some nice advantages coming out from BDS elsewhere. I mean, you look at Shah compared to Tifa now, almost 40 CS up on this Ori. She has been farming very, very efficiently this game. 2 TPs now coming into mid. It's clear that he seems really want to jostle for this mid control yet again with this Drake now live.
But G2 again are the first ones to be at the river. G2 again are going to the pit, and BDS Valkyries have to answer to what G2 are doing. They have to be the second one to go after the G2, and they're going to stop the Drake immediately. A little bit of vision for BDS. Nothing else is available for either of the teams in terms of the walls around the pit. BDS are looking for a way to go in. Still, the Nature's Grasp is available for Ender. If she wants to use it, she might want to use it somewhere very soon because the Drake is still going down, but rather slowly, and Tifa is going right into the enemies, followed up by the Cold Forge calls coming in from Lysia, and Ender is suffering so much, almost dead in the process. C is going right into the enemies, tries to slice and dice, but in the end is getting sliced and dice and served herself by Kaltis, and G2 are scaring BDS right out of the pit, and Kaltis is doing it quite literally, fighting with Ender, trying to finish the enemy's jungler, which is not an easy task, but in the end gets it. Tifa in the meantime got another kill, and G2 don't even want the Drake anymore. They have their eyes on the Herald. Not Herald, sorry, it's a Baron already.
Yeah, they're heading to the Baron right now, and
Yeah.
this is such a good example of the way in which G2, they have so many tools at their disposal. And as soon as BDS kind of had expelled what they had, it was just a massacre back onto their team. But we are going to see this trade come through at the very least for this third Drake, looking to put BDS at some point. 4.5 minutes or so onto this Dragon Timer when it eventually goes down. 5 minutes, I should say. That's my bad on that one. time is but a construct, and well, it's
Yeah.
a construct in the way that I didn't quite read right. But yes, no, 5 minutes onto the Drake Timer for this Soul. So it's going to come down to how much G2 can get done with the pressure they're going to have on this Baron buff.
Yeah, that's an important point to make, right? BDS Valkyries are going to get the Soul in 5 minutes if they're allowed to get in the pit, unless they're going to find themselves in a situation when they need to defend their base, because G2 with all their insane wave clear are going to cut very quickly through the lanes. And for BDS right now, their wave clear is much weaker than what G2 have on their side, apart from Ari. Ari is a very good wave clear. It's really hard to find a mid laner who's going to match her in that sense, but other than that, Kaltis is absolutely unmatched in that sense. Sheena dancing around Ender, and Shah just a little bit has Tifa around, so he's not scared of anything or anybody whatsoever.
I've got to say, Cultist is quite scary right now.
She's very reckless.
You know, it's not like the most prescient of analysis, but right now the Sivir is way more accelerated than obviously BDS would like, and right now Stratos Panda is really suffering to get a foothold in this game.
Yeah.
In that last fight, obviously the feathers did fly, but by the time the feathers flew, it was far too late. I feel like this Xayah here needs to perhaps be a little bit more aggressive with how they let it rip on this ultimate, not just utilizing it for this more defensive kind of purpose that we typically see it used for, but she's really got to try and take this game into her hands and not just rely obviously on the likes of C to really make it happen.
Because relying on C is a problem right now. The C is not the problem. The problem is the composition of the team. We talked about it. We need to talk about it again. Lack of the front line for the team is really not working in the advantage of C. She goes in, she gets controlled, and unfortunately she dies before killing anybody.
For sure. And we see again just really nice work there. Lysia doing so much work on the front line. Just so much stall coming from G2. That healing coming out there. And of course, Cultist then just picking up, just chopping the tree down on the backside.
Yeah.
And then let's see where Tifa goes here. Great flash stun onto Evelina. And obviously, this is the thing when you're playing these enchanters, they are so squishy that you can literally just a stiff breeze can take one out of the game. And you know, for so far, we haven't really seen that happen onto the Milio. It's been kind of easy going for the side of G2's bot lane.
We don't really see much of Milio because with Enchantress it's much harder to have a flashy impact as you have on an engager. You know, when you flash forward, hook somebody, and immediately they're dead because of you, and everybody's like, wow, support, finally we know that they exist. With Enchantress it's much harder to get noticed. Trust me, I am an Enchanter main. It is really damn hard, but they do so much hard work, and Columbable is doing a lot of hard work on that Milio. That is one of the champions that she pilots quite a lot in various games, but the idea of Milio always stays the same for her, to make sure she protects cultists, to make sure she removes the control from the enemies and buffs the teammates up. Because what does Milio do? Milio shields a lot. These 2 stacks on the shields are insane. Milio heals up quite nicely, and Milio adds the additional attack range. Like if G2 needed any additional attack range, but now they get more of it.
Absolutely, and it feels like this is just a really nice piece of adaptation from G2 again. Coming into these sort of later 2 games in their draft, they sort of put Tifa on something that has a little bit more to it than the Karma, and shift that kind of that Enchanter onus down into the bot lane, into that support role. And there's so much engage, especially with with the Ornn, with the Rel. Ornn, of course, such a flexible pick in the way he wishes to work these fights. So just really nice adaptations we've seen from G2.
Yes, they're still building up and not itemizing, but rather creating a team composition. I'm lost even for words there. Towards the heavy team fights, but this time they're doing it much better because apart from the tools, they have also drafted themselves a lot of damage for the second game in a row already. G2 are very strong and straightforward with how they want the game to be played. And they are playing the game by their rules right now. They are leading. Oh, Sheena, yeah, that didn't really work right for you. But it's okay. Maybe next time, plus nobody was really chasing her down. But it's still 7-3. There is still around 2k something. I cannot do math, but 2k something gold lead for G2. Hell, they are leading everywhere except for the dragons.
And as we look to this next dragon, it's important to note exactly where this top wave is. Thank you, Observer. Just as I say it, this top tower now going down, creating so much pressure that Licia now has to head up to deal with it. Of course, she has got the TP up, is going to be able to join the rest of the team when this Drake does come through. But we can see with this TP coming through now from Shah, just how much BDS really want to get the prio onto this Drake, considering how important the soul is for their chances in this series.
Oh, the soul is going to change everything for them. The damage output is going to be massively buffed for BDS. The cooldown reduction is going to be so good for them. The ability haste, they want to have this soul. They want to be sitting on top of it, and they are not wasting any time going in with a Nature's Grasp, with Markai going so deep into the enemies, but Milio is like, nope, thank you very much. No control onto my team. Stratuspawn is almost dead, goes into the Featherstorm, trying to run away, but you cannot run away from Tifa. It's a shutdown. Lisa going super low in the process, but Tifa is there for a rescue. Double kill for her. She is getting a kill in the process onto Lisa. She is on the backline. She is half health available into the dominance. She has gone already, but Columbable is chasing her down. Cultist wants to have another kill in this fight. Columbable is going to go down, but Cultist has the kill. It's another kill for G2. It's a Drake for G2.
Oh my word, G2 Esports. Ender throws everything and the kitchen sink onto Cultist, but alas, with the Milio ult, with the spell shield, and it's just able to kite with Ghost and navigate her way around the fight and deal so much damage. It's so hard for BDS to just get a straight up team fight, knowing how much peel, how much control G2 has in these moments.
It looks like nothing is working for them anymore. They're trying to go all in onto GT and GT turn it around because Milio, because a lot of their own control tools, a lot of tools to escape control from the enemy side. BDS try to split G2 up. It also doesn't work because they don't have enough individual damage to go into the backline of the enemy and kill them on the spot, or at least kill Cultist and or Tifa on the spot. It is never enough for BDS Valkyries. They're finding themselves at the same place where G2 Hell were in that first game today. A little bit of exchange here. Oh, and they're going right back into the enemies. Has the ultimate again available, but again goes super low on health. That was a very risky move that almost cost her life. And with the life of the enemy jungle, comes the life of the Baron for G2 apparently, because they're starting to take it.
Baron going lower and lower here for G2, but the TP does come in, so BDS, they're looking to fight it here.
Oh, they're closing in onto Lizzie. Lizzie is going a little bit lower here than she would like to see. Is there? She wants to try to fight. She has a lot of shields, but she also has the Cult of Forge Gods called right upon her. And due to health, she'll leave Shies on the backlane. Has Ignite on her, so really needs to run away as soon as possible. Avaluna doesn't have the same luxury. She is there. Stratuspanner goes into the Featherstone, buys herself a little bit more time, but it's not enough. The feathers never come back.
Oh my word, and just the re-aggression from G2 into the bottom side of the river here was just... They're just feeling their oats right now, Solari. They can smell victory even though there is still so long to go in this game.
They're looking at the trophy of Pathfinders 1 and they're like, we're not giving it away to anybody today, and not to BDS Valkyries as well. This fight was a really good statement from them.
Absolutely, a great crescendo there from Evaluna as well. Locks down 4, but it's just not enough at all. And then obviously Cultist just running down Stratus Panda. Obviously the recall does come in just in time to take her with her, but it's just getting harder and harder for BDS to find their moments. They're really struggling to make anything happen on the map right now.
Is it hot here, or is it G2 on fire? To be fair, it is kind of both at the same time right now, but G2 definitely are on fire in this game. 15-6 is the score of the kills right now, still leading massively in gold, having the Baron buff on pretty much everybody in their team right now, going through the lanes quickly and efficiently. A lot of wave clear. Cultist is not afraid of anybody now, having the Guardian Angel completed on her, and having 4 other team members serving as additional Guardian Angels for her.
Absolutely, and of course we have the Radiant Virtue there on the rel as well, and the Nature's Grasp coming through.
Going right onto Shino with yet another Nature's Grasp. Very good ankle there, not the ankle, sorry, but the Sona, you know, doing her Sona things, but not really finding anything except for the death of her own jungler. All the Forge Gods right onto the backline of the enemies. Everyone is dead already. Cultist is fighting with Stratuspanner, losing a lot of health to the process, but comes out of it victorious.
So close there from Stratus Panda. Good kiting there from Cultist just to stay the other side of this Sire as the feathers are ripped back. But alas, they miss, and Cultist is able to take down her lane opponent. Now 9-1 and 7. 300 CS on this Sivir as G2 look to push in and possibly end this series.
They want to make it to 0-1, sorry, right here, right now. Going on to the enemy, super strong. She is not having a chance to do anything. She's controlled for ages, and this is going to be the last stand for BDS Valkyries, going all the way back into G2 Hell, but it's a little bit too late because their Nexus is exploding 33 minutes in the game, and G2 are taking the second game in their hands. We are going to see G2 Hell again in the finals of Pathfinders.
G2 Hell have done it. They have silenced the doubters. I mean, we are the doubters, right? We definitely had our doubts at the start of the day, but they have come in. They have made so many good adaptations to their draft without. It kind of got a little bit funky in the first game, but they just played such a clean draft. Games 2 and 3, they understood the assignment. They got Cultist onto more scaling there. They were able to really get Lysia back onto some comfort in the Ornn, and it just worked out really well for them into games 2 and 3.
The idea of this situation of Pathfinders is improvise, adapt, overcome, and G2 Hell were one of those teams that showed all those 3 aspects to us in this game. Going a little bit silly goofy in game number 1, but it was just a warm-up for them for today after they went into all G2 Hell very serious mode and scored the 2 beautiful W's for themselves, which means we are going to see them playing later on today. But before that, let's go on a short break, after which we're going to break down this amazing last game of the series.